Welcome back to another episode of the Draw Control podcast. On today's episode, I'm joined by Coco and Annalie Vandiver. Let's start off with Coco. Coco is a sophomore defender on the Syracuse women's lacrosse team. Last season, Coco played an integral role on the Syracuse defense, having 14 ground balls, 16 caused turnovers, and 2 draw controls. This helped Coco make it on the All ACC Freshman team. Now let's talk about Anna Lee. Anna Lee is a redshirt freshman on the Elon women's lacrosse team. In her lacrosse career, Anna played 2 years of varsity, earning a letter at McDonogh High School. She helped her team go 21-6 over the final 2 seasons and achieve a #1 ranking. Her team made it all the way to the state championship game in 2021. Thank you both for coming on the podcast today. And how is everything going?
It's going good. Also, for future reference, just for so people don't get confused, it's a double name, Annalie.
Okay, sounds
Yeah,
good.
a lot of people mess it up, but yeah, it's going well. It's
That's
going
good to
well.
hear. Good to hear. Good to hear. Now, how have your school years been going for you both on and off the field? I guess I'll start off with Coco with that one.
Yeah, so far the fall went really well. It was cool to see since we had so many injuries in the spring last year. It was cool to see in the fall a lot of girls step into some like roles on the field, some leadership roles and new playing time roles. But it's so exciting right now, like seeing all of our girls back on the field that we lost in the spring last year. And then as far as school goes, it's tough, but making it work. It's a lot of organization, being on your like stuff, being organized. But it's going well.
That's good to hear. How about you, Annalie?
It's going well. So last year I was injured, so that's why I redshirted, and it was just really exciting to come back in August and just pick up where like I kind of left off. And fall ball went really well. I actually ended up getting injured again, but it wasn't as bad. So I was only out for like a month, 2 months, month and a half, 2 months. And so now I'm back and it's my first like preseason because I was out last year in January. And it's really exciting because obviously I watched preseason and like the season last year. But this is obviously my first time kind of actually preparing everything for the season. So it's been really fun.
Yeah. And what was your off season and fall like in regards to training, and what were some of the things that you worked on to prepare for next season? I'll start off with you, Annalie, because you were injured, so I'm curious how that sort of worked out for you.
Yeah, so I came back in August, ready to go. Like my injury, I did all my PT and stuff. And just off the bat, like we got into practice and preparing for fall ball. And like fall ball is as competitive as you make it, especially just like you practice how you play. So practices were really competitive. It was really, we all kind of tried to be as intentional as we could, just preparing for the season. Obviously, we have 13 freshmen, so it was really cool. Like they had to kind of get affiliated or like kind of into the motion of practice lifts, training, all that stuff. Um, and then we got to play international teams actually this year. So we played Japan, we played England, and that was a really cool experience because one game we played international rules, which was, I think, like it was definitely a little different. And then our next game we played the new NCAA rules with like the green cards and everything. And it was just really cool meeting people like from Japan and England and seeing them play lacrosse and their story into the sport because it's obviously a little different, them getting into it compared to how we do it. And that was really cool experience. And I'm really happy that my coach like did that for us. And then getting injured, I had a stress reaction in my tibia. So we had a scrimmage, and after the scrimmage, I couldn't really walk and got an MRI like a couple days later because my prior injury was a stress fracture in my foot. So with the history of like bone issues, my like trainers and my coaches really took care of me in that regard and got me an MRI and kind of just went from there. Ended up being a stress reaction. So I was out for the rest of fall ball, but it was really fun seeing my team kind of succeed in the rest of fall ball. And then I went home for winter break, did some training, some PT, and now we're back in
Yeah.
preseason.
Coco, how about you? How was your off season and fall for your team?
Yeah, well, getting back here for the fall, it was right away we got into it. We had a bitter taste in our mouth from last season, losing the Final Four. And we also have a new coach, Abigail Rafus, who is awesome. I love her. And just as soon as we got back, it was like, get ready, go. And it was hardcore, like fast paced, real life play. And we were, like I said earlier, like we had some girls that were coming back from injury that weren't ready in the fall. So some new players came up, and also we had a crazy freshman class. They're so talented. So it's really cool seeing them play. And yeah, we just really worked on conditioning. Our lift coach was new at the end of the spring. So getting him in the fall was new for us. And he's awesome. He's so smart, really knows what he's doing. So we're just trying to I think our big focus was being strong, being fast, and staying fit, but being healthy was a big goal in the fall for us, and staying healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are your team's goals and expectations for next season after making the Final Four last year?
I mean, obviously our goal is to win a national championship. We want to go all the way, and I know we can. And we want to be a fast-paced team. We always talk about it, just like never like letting off the gas, really being relentless. And I think a big goal of Kayla's, she says it all the time, is playing a full field defense, like never really allowing the other team an opportunity against us. And like I said, just keeping going at them.
Annalie, what about you? What are your team's goals and expectations? Is it also to win a national championship?
I mean, I feel like every team obviously wants to do that. For us, we're definitely focused on the CAAs. It's a really good conference. We have Stony Brook, Towson, Hofstra, like WNM, like amazing teams. And I think going into like in conference games, that's going to be like a really big focus. Obviously, all games are important. You want to win every single one. But once we get into in-conference play, like that's where we really have to focus up. Like our goals are set. Our goals were set from the moment we got back from campus. Our coaches made it very clear. And that's what we're working towards, is just getting into that in-conference play and showing our conference, but also like every division what we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. What would it be like if Syracuse played Elon in the national championship? I feel like it's more crazier for your parents if that happened.
That would be the greatest day of my life.
Whatever.
I would
If that happened,
love that.
that would be fun time for
Yeah,
sure.
It would be hard not to root for her, I would say.
yeah,
We'd probably be playing against each other.
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
It would be you
honestly,
guys would be
yeah.
like the look women's lacrosse version of the Kelsey brothers, or I
Yeah.
guess since you're from Maryland, maybe the
On
Harbaugh
a
brothers.
smaller
That's probably
scale.
Exact
better.
same
Yeah,
scale. Exact same scale. I think
Yeah.
everybody in the country would be talking about it for sure.
No, that would be fun. Yeah, no, it would be hard not to root for Coco for sure. I mean,
yeah.
But we
yeah.
do get very competitive with each other.
Exactly,
So
exactly. Yeah. I feel because I remember when I saw there was this like documentary and Travis Kelce, the hardest thing about winning the Super Bowl was going up to his brother after the game and saying congratulations because he knew how
I
hard it
saw that
was. Yeah,
too.
yeah.
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 I
Now,
think that was
individually,
sorry.
yeah. I was just wondering individually if there's anything you guys want to accomplish for the upcoming season.
Yeah, I feel like I always like Coco and I have always set goals for ourselves, especially. So it's crazy to think about the last season I played was my senior year at McDonogh, which is a bizarre thought. But even in that season, like Coco and I set goals for ourselves going into our senior year. And I feel like we definitely accomplished our personal goals. We both, made the starting lineup at McDonogh our senior year. We both, I think, played, really well. And I feel like last season, because I was hurt, my goals were definitely more focused on like my team and what I want them to accomplish. And now it's more coming back from injury a second time, I need to stay healthy. I need to just continue to take care of myself and be honest with myself about how I'm feeling foot wise and, shin wise, but also I want to always like be the best I can be, especially on the attack side, just implementing new plays in this preseason. I think my team and I have a great opportunity to kind of show this like our conference and all like divisions, like I said, what we can do. So I think my goal is definitely just be an intricate part of my offense.
What about you, Coco?
I think with having last season under my belt, my goal would be like to have the confidence to like come in, make some riskier plays in terms of like stat sheet, like have more calls turnovers, more ground balls. Um and I'm lucky to still have leaders with me on my defensive end. Like Katie, Goodale, Bianca, and Hallie, seniors and fifth years. But next year, like they'll be gone. We're losing a lot of girls next year, and just getting some footing to be more of a leader in the years to come. And yeah, just basically like have the confidence to be a bigger role in my defense.
So let's transition now and talk about the beginning of your guys' lacrosse careers and sort of work all the way up to where we are today. So you're from Maryland, so talk about growing up there and how'd you start playing lacrosse. I guess we'll start off with Annalie for this one.
So yeah, being from Maryland, especially just being from Baltimore, you have Hopkins, Loyola, and Towson, like three insane lacrosse schools, like for both men's and women's. And I just feel like because there's such a historic and like deep rooted lacrosse history in that city, growing up, like you kind of do it because everyone does it. And like when you're younger, you do it for like a, extra time. Like your parents kind of put you on a team just to like get your energy out and see if it's something you really enjoy. And for Coco and I, like it ended up being something that we truly enjoyed and we kind of fell in love with the sport. And we had like all of our friends played lacrosse. Most of our friends ended up like going D1 with us. So just having that atmosphere around us growing up, I think was really strong and it helped us kind of truly decide if we wanted to play in college. And it just was really fun having that access to lacrosse.
That's awesome. Coco, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, she basically said it all, but just going off of like it's so many girls, there's so many guys that are going D1. It's definitely a pipeline like Baltimore to Division 1 lacrosse. And I just think it's so cool. There's so much history, like Hopkins, and Homewood Fields. And it's just an awesome, like Annalie said, we're very lucky to have access to like the players, they're the coaches in Baltimore. Like it's hard, like it's really easy to be like kind of forget about it and not be grateful for everything we have. But like coming to school here, like I know girls from like, Texas and the West Coast, and like it's so different. They're like experience growing up playing lacrosse, whereas like I was so used to having all of these like training facilities and these coaches that I could go to, and they didn't have that. And we were really lucky. And I think it helped me coming to play at the Division 1 level, just growing up surrounded by all these like insane athletes.
Yeah, growing up, did you watch any lacrosse? And if so, who are some of your favorite players and teams that you like the most? I guess I'll start off with you, Coco, for this one.
Actually, we were talking about this question because we growing up didn't watch lacrosse, college lacrosse. Our neither of our parents played. Our dad's from the South. He'd never seen a lacrosse game. My mom didn't really play lacrosse. She didn't really play sports. She played badminton in high school. And our brothers, like they played rec growing up, but kind of dropped off in high school. So lacrosse wasn't on our TV. We were very much a football family until I would say high school when we really decided we want to go play lacrosse in college. We started watching. And obviously we're Terp fans. Like we watched Taylor Cummings and obviously she was our coach, which was so cool. Um, but yeah, I think a player that I always looked up to was Cookie Carr. She was actually our club coach for a little bit when we were growing up. And she just, I feel like taught me everything I know about defense. I still think about her to this day.
Annalie, how about you? Who's your favorite player?
Yeah, so I was just gonna like Coco and I both kind of agreed that Cookie was probably one of our favorite players just because she was our club coach when we were younger and we would go watch her. Like she coached at Hopkins, so we well she coached at Stanford and I remember Stanford played Hopkins and like our whole club team like went to watch her game because like she was like now coaching like at Stanford, which was insane. And again, like she's one of the hardest working people I know. And I feel like just even though we were like 10 or 11 or something when she was coaching us, she really showed us how to work hard and like what kind of work ethic you need to succeed. And that's just something I think Coco and I will always be grateful for, especially because we were so young when we met her, and just seeing her thrive on like the USA team and then the AU Pro teams, like she's just insane.
Hmm. And before college, you both played for your high school at McDonogh, where a lot of other Division One commits have played, had them on the podcast as well. So it just shows you how incredible that school is. So what was your experience like there? Sort of what have you taken away from your time there? I guess I'll start off with you, Annalie, for this one.
Yeah, so I know Coco and I love McDonogh. Not even like lacrosse too, but just the school. Like we have some of our closest friends that will always be friends with amazing teachers and amazing coaches. And so COVID season was our sophomore season, so we didn't get that season. And then junior and senior year, Taylor Cummings was our coach, which is crazy. And like I remember people would ask me about that, and they still ask me about that because when we say like, oh, we went to McDonogh, people who play lacrosse, it kind of like rings a bell. And they either ask about just like playing at McDonogh, or they ask what Taylor Cummings is like. And I have great things to say about both. Having Taylor as a coach was kind of surreal at first just because she's such a big name, but she really like all coaches. We had like the best coaching staff. They taught us so much. And it's crazy looking back because the level of play that we had growing up and our high school, like our junior senior year, we were playing against in practice future D1 lacrosse players, and then in every single game there was probably more than five either D1 commits at the time, or they would commit D1 like later. So it was insane that we had that opportunity, and we're so fortunate to have that, especially just the lacrosse history at McDonogh is insane, and
Yeah.
we're so fortunate to be able to experience that.
What about you, Coco? What was your favorite memory from your time there?
Favorite memory? Oh my God, there's so many. I think senior day was such a bittersweet day, but I love that game. We take it very seriously. McDonogh, we go all out. We're making the underclass to make shirts for us. We have a big like lunch and dinner, and it's just such a nice day. But I think what I'm most grateful for from playing at McDonogh was just the practice speed and like the speed of games. Like we played with the shot clock. I'm pretty sure like we were allowed to go in the crease. So transitioning to college lacrosse, I felt was easier for me. And I know Kayla said it too. In the first meeting I had with her, she was like, you obviously played at a high level lacrosse school. And I feel like that transition helped you here. Like practices didn't feel that crazy fast to me because that's what I was used to. I remember my very first fall practice last year. I was like, I did all these, like this drill I did at McDonogh, this drill I did at McDonogh, like they were some of my favorite drills. And I just thought it was funny because Kayla and Taylor obviously know each other. And I was like, oh, I wonder if like they did these drills at US or something.
Yeah.
But I just feel really lucky that I had that experience at McDonogh because I think that I think I owe McDonogh the reason I got not the reason, I think there's a lot of reasons I got my spot last year, but being able to quickly like off the gun like transition into those quick practices was something like that set me apart, and I owe it to Taylor and I owe it to that team.
So this is the part of the podcast where you guys have to say something nice about each other, because the question is, what's it like growing up and playing with your lacrosse with your twin, and what has sort of both of you guys, I guess, meant to your twin's career? Coco, start off with you. What has Annalise sort of meant for your career? And
I
talk
think
about growing up with her, because I saw the photo of her at the Frozen or the Final Four hugging you after the
yeah,
game. I thought that was
I
pretty
love that.
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we're each other's biggest fans 100%. It's funny though, because our competition never came from like spots. Like we were both middies, but we both kind of drifted to other ends of the field. I was more defensive, she was more offensive. So we never were fighting for the same spot, but the competition came a lot in practice when we'd go against each other. Um, but when we were on the same end of the field, like when we were both playing mid and club and sometimes in high school,
Yeah.
We kind of felt like we almost knew what each other were doing. We always talked about this, like this twin, like telepathy connection. Like it almost felt like when she cut or I cut, like we didn't even like need to tell each other. We just knew. And obviously, like some people say like they don't believe it, but I really feel like we have this kind of connection where it's just like we know where each other are, we know what the other one wants to do. So I feel like that was our little superpower, especially in club. But yeah, it's just been so fun. The last game of McDonogh, I sobbed afterwards, just knowing we never play on the same team again. It was the weirdest feeling ever. I didn't even think I'd be upset about it. Weirdly, I was like, oh, it's fine. We'll like still be like friends. But like after that game, I was like, I was so heartbroken. It was the weirdest feeling. It felt like I was being like transported into like another time in my life, and I was just not ready for it.
Yeah. Annalie, how about you? What has Coco meant for your career and just
Yeah.
overall being a
So
great person? So,
yeah. Again, like Coco and I can't imagine what it would have been like if we were fighting for the same spot. I think that would have been like
I think
horrible.
we both intentionally went to different
Yeah,
ends of the
I think we
field.
did that. And again, like just in high school, I remember there was one practice where we were doing 1v1s and just by chance, like Coco and I ended up playing against, like having to go against each other, and everyone kind of like started like chanting or like yelling. It was just so funny. And we went twice. It ended up being 2 times we had to go against each other. Once Coco just like stuffed me, and the other time I like ended up being able to get a shot off of her. And I feel like now that we're on opposite ends of the field, we have like a built-in person to practice with, which is so nice and so convenient. And we're actually really lucky to have that. And I feel like being injured last year, I still felt like Coco was rooting for me and rooting for my team. And because I was able to watch so much lacrosse last year, I really watched, I think I tried to watch every single one of Coco's games, or I'd have my parents be texting me updates if I was like doing something. And I remember at the Final Four, we made like shirts, like Coco Vandiver shirts. And I just think that was the most fun time I've ever had. Like, unfortunately, they lost that game, but like, I was screaming. Like, Coco got a check off, I don't know who, but it was like the most out of body experience. Like, I went crazy. And I just think it's so fun to have that because now that I'll be able to play this season, I'm excited for Coco to like watch me. Um, and yeah, it's just been like you have like a built-in fan no matter what, which is just like really fun.
yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk about your recruiting process now. I guess I'll start off with you, Coco. What was your recruiting process like with Syracuse, and what made you want to go there versus other schools you might have looked at?
Yeah, well, recruiting was just so weird in COVID. Like, it was just like the worst time to get recruited. I would say like everything was over Zoom. It was everything was like highlight tapes. No coaches could really come to our games, so it was definitely not your typical recruiting process. But I remember, I honestly wasn't looking at Syracuse. I didn't think I could go to a school like Syracuse, and I was at my birthday dinner, and my club coach called me. He's like, "Gary Gates gonna call you tomorrow," and I was like, "Why? Like, what do you mean?" And then yeah, I got the call from Gary. We set up a Zoom and he was awesome. And I did my research and I realized like I always knew I kind of wanted to do communications, and I was like, this would be an opportunity to go to one of the best communication schools in the country, Newhouse. And I was like, I just can't give it up. And yeah, I feel really grateful because I get a great education and I'm on one of the best teams in the nation. And it's just like the best of both worlds, really.
Yeah, I'm also a communications major, so we might be coworkers one day, which would be pretty crazy.
Hopefully, that'd be awesome.
Now, Annalie, what was your recruiting process like with Elon? What made you want to go there?
Yeah. So again, like the recruiting process, looking back, like what Coco said, looking back, it's crazy that no coaches could come to our games and that film was everything. And it's just weird that like we worked until like September 1 of our junior year, but that was completely like disheveled. But I was really lucky because there is actually a family in Baltimore, and both of the daughters. So Elon was the program started in 2014, and the family in Baltimore that we ended up knowing from McDonogh, because they both went to McDonogh. They're older than me, but one of them played the first season at Elon, and then the other came and like followed her sister. And when I reached out to Josh for the first time and we started communicating, I reached out to the Kessler sisters, and they just had the best things to say about Elon. And there's a lot of people from Baltimore who end up going to Elon, not for lacrosse or like a sport, just to go to school here. And again, the best things, like I never heard a bad thing spoken about this school. And my conversations with Josh went so well, and I really felt like he's been in the game for so long. He coached at Duke, and now he started a program I guess almost 10 years ago here, and he has such an understanding of the sport, and it was so like palpable, like you could really feel that. And I'm just so lucky that I'm here, because the moment I stepped on this campus, it was everything. Like the team, I've never like McDonogh was a really close team, and coming here, I was really lucky to be able to have a close team in high school and transition to an maybe even closer team at Elon. So I just like recruiting was I was pretty lucky. Coco and I were both pretty fortunate.
Yeah. Well, Coco, let's start off with your last season. We'll just ask you this question. So last season with Syracuse, you guys made it all the way to the Final Four before losing to Boston College. Overall, what did you take away from your team's performance last season, which was a really good performance? And also, what do you think is sort of like the improvements you made throughout the season as well? Because it's not often you see freshmen sort of step into that defensive role that you had last year.
Yeah, I think last year was like a surreal freshman year to have. Like we started off so strong, like we killed it, and like I think we ended strong. Like I'm really proud of how we played the whole season, especially with all the injuries we had. Like players like Olivia Adamson stepping into like the draw shoes of Kate Mash. Like she's insane, best draw taker I think ever. And like Liv stepping into those shoes, and just other players like defensively when Bianca got hurt, and like in the midfield and everywhere, honestly. But that last game I think about often, and I sometimes torture myself and I watch it. So yeah, there's definitely a bitter taste in my mouth, and it's weird coming back, losing, Meg Carney and Meg Tyrell. They were huge parts of Syracuse. Like when I think of Syracuse lacrosse, I think of them. So I'm excited to see our identity without them. Like as much as I love them, I'm excited to see who steps into those like roles that they left. And I think for me personally, like just I had great leaders on defense that were kind of showing me the ropes last year. And the biggest thing I worked on this year was kind of stepping into those footsteps and being my own leader in a way, and just kind of being able to do it on my own and not being like kind of like someone holding my hand was the biggest thing. I needed to kind of grow up in a way and be a little bit more serious, be a little bit more of a leader. And like, I didn't, if I made a mistake, it couldn't be like, well, she's a freshman. It's like, you got to figure it out. And that was a big thing in the fall, was like, you don't get second chances because you're not a freshman anymore. You're not a newbie. So that was like the big theme of my fall, I would say.
Yeah. Now, Annalee, we'll talk about, obviously you didn't play last season, but what'd you take away from your team's performance? And what was it like, I guess, playing against, I feel like your team had good performance against teams like Towson and Stony Brook. So just overall, what do you take away from that season that you think is going to help you and your team for the
Yeah.
upcoming season?
So I think this season, again, last season, it didn't go as we wanted it, but like you always have another opportunity. I know like our seniors are last year, like they ended and they were, frustrated. But again, we have this year, and all the returners, we have a year to prove ourselves. And playing against Towson and Stony Brook was insane. Like Stony Brook is a ridiculous team, and you get better no matter like who you play, and if you win or lose. I think every game is an opportunity to get better. And that's something that our coach Josh like said right last year in the beginning of the season. He was like, every game you are going to learn things and you're going to take away things that will help you in the next game. And I feel like that's something that was in the back of our heads all season. Like, we're continually getting better and we wanted to peak at the right time. And coming back into this season, well, last season I watched tons of lacrosse. I watched all my team's games. I watched all of Coco's games. I watched, all of our friends' games because, if you're not playing, then you have to better yourself somehow. And watching lacrosse, just you can build your IQ. And coming into this season, I think we all want, like, we have a comeback year. And I'm really excited because I think this team is insane. And I know that we are going to be able to compete, like truly compete against in-conference teams, especially out of conference teams too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's go on now to a segment I like to call the non-lacrosse segment, where I ask you some non-lacrosse questions to get to know you a little bit more off the field. For you, let's start off with Coco. If there was a movie made about your life, who would you want to play yourself?
Elon, you're gonna have to help me out with the girl's name again. The actress from Soul Surfer.
And I think her name is Anna Sophia Robb.
It's like Sophia Ann Robb and Sophia Robb, something like that. She played
Yeah,
Bethany.
it's Anna Sophia Robb. It's Anna Sophia Robb.
She's the only actress I've ever been told, like, no one ever tells me I get a celebrity lookalike. And one time someone told me I look like her. So it's gonna have to be her.
What about you, Annalie?
So Coco and I actually talked about this before because we were like had to kind of brainstorm. I don't know if I'm similar to her in any way, shape, or form. Like, we don't look alike, and I'd love to be similar to her, like, personality wise, because I think she's hilarious. But Jennifer Lawrence, I just think she's so funny, and I'd love to.
Yeah.
I just think that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
I think that'd be perfect.
I'd say for me, probably Matt McConaughey. I think he's awesome. Or like Tom Brady. I think that'd be cool if he played me in a movie. So
That'd be sick if he was an actor.
yeah. Now, what is the most underrated holiday and what's the most overrated holiday?
Coco and I both agree that Thanksgiving is the most underrated. I feel
agree. Yeah.
sometimes it's not underrated. Like, people obviously love Thanksgiving, but I feel like in general it's just like, oh, Thanksgiving. But it's just like good food. Coco and I have like a pretty big family that comes over. Like, we play games. Like, it's just like a great time. So we think that's the most underrated.
And it's not as stressful as Christmas.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah,
just
that's
good family time.
Yeah.
You're not worried about like presents or like, spending money really. It's just like hang out with your family, eating great food.
Yeah.
Football.
It's a
good time.
It was football for this year wasn't fun for me to watch, but I assume for you guys it was. So
yeah, I'm really nervous. And
we're excited for 3
hours.
I know. But as a neutral fan, please, I don't need to see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Please beat them. I
think everyone in America is Team Lamar right now.
I can't. All I'm seeing on Twitter and TikTok, it's like edits of like
Lamar save us.
Lamar save us. I'm like, yes, because I cannot see Taylor Swift on
yeah.
As a Swiftie, like, I love Taylor Swift. This is not her fault that she's the queen and everyone loves her. But I just don't like the Chiefs.
Yeah, I just don't like the Chiefs too. It's just like I see them every year. And I'm a huge Patriots fan. I can't see a team. I don't want to see a team sort of break Tom Brady's records or break the Patriots. I need that because especially since we're now not a good team anymore. I need at least something to rebuttal with people. So that's sort of why I don't want them. And it'll be nice to see it too. Ravens Lions. That's my hope. I think that would be a lot of fun.
You know what? I think if the Ravens didn't make it, I would love to see the Lions win.
Yeah, absolutely.
Such an underdog story.
I hate the Chiefs so much. I can't even explain.
Same. It's all good. Now, which player on the Syracuse and Elon's women's lacrosse team has the best off-the-field style besides yourself? Coco, you might have the best style in all the NCAA, but besides yourself, who would you say has the best style on your team?
I think you have to separate it into categories. I think street style, it goes to the Schweitzer twins. They just look cool doing anything. But if we're going like, just my style, like what I would wear out, I think, and no one ever says this, justice for Tate Paulson. I think she's the cutest clothes, and I'm obsessed with her closet. If I could rate anyone's closet, it would be hers.
Nice. Annalie, how about you? You're obviously a big influence on Coco's style, I'd imagine. So,
I am. I
She
really,
dresses me, basically.
yeah, no, I do. I would say senior Alex Belville has the coolest clothes. And I tell her this and we talk about like fashion all the time. Or one of my roommates, one of my closest friends on the team, Mimi Economist, she like doesn't try, but she always looks cool. And
yeah.
I just don't understand.
All right, last non-lacrosse question, which is what is the most interesting thing you've read or seen this week? I guess I'll start off with you, Annalie.
This is the most interesting. I think I've just like all the Ravens. Like this past week, I've just been really honed in. Like my whole team knows I'm like a huge Ravens fanatic. So I've been listening to podcasts. I've been like trying to see. What I've seen is that most people think the Ravens will win, but again, you can't.
You can't count on Patrick Mahomes though, because I thought the Bills were
That's
gonna
what I'm
win.
saying.
Yeah,
And like all these podcasts are like it's the Ravens, but it's Patrick Mahomes.
yeah.
So just like I've definitely all this Ravens like stats and Patrick Mahomes stats and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm with you though. But my advice is just enjoy it because someday Lamar Jackson won't be there anymore, and you're just like everyone else. So, and I will say I was watching some old AFC championships, and one of my favorite games. I hate to bring this up to you, was when the kicker. This was like when I was like 8 years old, when the kicker like missed the field goal so the Patriots could win the Super Bowl. That was or make the Super Bowl. That's like one of my favorite football memories ever. But then Joe Flacco got revenge the following year. So.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm just the humbling idea is that if we lose, I have talked so much trash about the Ravens winning. I'm going to get ripped apart.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like I'm
I
not
think
gonna
we
I'm not
I
gonna
think they do better when no one talks about them.
Yeah, I
yeah.
guess so. I guess
There's
so.
too much chatter about them right now. Makes me nervous.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I feel like this is the year to do it because with Joe Burrow hurt, I feel like it's gonna be hard to compete for the division maybe even the following season.
Hmm.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Coco, how about you? What's the most interesting thing you saw this week?
Um, I don't know. Yeah, these TikToks about Lamar Jackson. I did not realize everybody was going to be Team Ravens. Obviously, I converted all my friends and I think my team to be Ravens fans, but I wasn't ready to see everybody, the whole nation basically be on our side, which is cool. I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, Baltimore sports kind of the spot to be right now because the Orioles had a
Right?
good year last year. And I like Adley Rutschman. He's a fun, good player for
We love
baseball.
him.
So yeah.
We went to a lot of O's games this past summer, and it was just like my family has been O's fans before,
Yeah.
the past couple of years when they've started picking up, and it's nice to know that my family is not a bandwagon.
Yeah, if it makes you feel better, I went to Camden Yards. Is probably my favorite ballpark I've ever
Yeah.
gone to. And
So
my
cool.
grandmother, who used to live in Maryland, got me an Orioles hat, and it's probably the best hat I have because I
Yeah,
just like the smiling bird. I think it looks awesome.
It's so cute.
it's
It's
in
Yeah,
such
the
a cool place
store.
to grow up.
Yeah,
yeah.
God, I love Baltimore.
Now, getting back to some lacrosse questions now. First one is what should be done to help grow women's lacrosse from your perspective?
Um, yeah, so Coco actually, because we were talking about this, like we kind of ran through the questions before we got on, and Coco had a really good idea. So at least in Baltimore, we don't know how it is, in other places. But so when Coco and I go to shoot or do 1v1s or whatever, obviously we have so many fields around us because where we live, it's like if
High
you
school after high school.
high school after high school, because like our conference in Baltimore, like in McDonough's conference, so many schools have insane lacrosse teams. So, there's fields everywhere, but they lock up the goals. And the thing is, like soccer goals, field hockey goals, they leave those out all the time. So if you play those sports, it's really convenient and easy. But with lacrosse goals, they lock them up. So we don't know what, like, we understand why they do to a sense. It's like you don't want them to get messed up, but like you're not going to be able to steal a goal or like you're not gonna cut it or rip it up or anything. So maybe like putting out like old goals or something that you can leave out, or I don't know how to work, but that was
I
like
think
good.
just like access to basic equipment so
Yeah.
that people can like try out the sport. And it's not an accessible sport. It's like pretty expensive. So like I know there's a few foundations, I'm blanking on the names, where you can like donate sticks and whatnot. Making those like a bigger priority. I think like at the D1 level, like teams like giving back old sticks, like they get sticks every year for free. Like, why not? Like, girls will go through sticks in 2 weeks. Like, why not give that stick away? Um, so yeah, I think just like getting the equipment out there so that people can try it out. And also stuff like this podcast, like having people talk about it. It's such a cool sport.
Yeah.
And if people talk about it more, like more TV time on ESPN and whatnot, getting people to watch it. I think the Olympics is going to help a lot. Um, it's definitely going to grow sixes and like the short field play, more than, full field lacrosse. But yeah, just
Hmm.
what you're doing, I think it's great.
Thank you. I appreciate the kind words. I feel like I'm not doing a lot, but I appreciate that you guys
No,
think I
like
am.
just
So
getting the word out there. I think Harlem lacrosse is what you're thinking of, Coco.
Maybe.
That's what I was just looking up on my phone. Because at least I remember in high school we did a couple like projects with them. Just you just have to like branch out and like reach out to people because a lot of people don't know what lacrosse is. Um TV time definitely I think should be more accessible,
yeah,
especially for women's lacrosse.
yeah,
There's
absolutely. That's how I
definitely a
found out about
difference.
the sport. So
Yeah,
definitely
there's a
helps
difference
out.
between TV time for men's and women's, which I don't understand. And what my dad says, and I always stick by this, is that he thinks women's lacrosse is harder to play than men's. And I agree with him. Obviously, I'm biased, but I just I don't know. Doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. I get it. I get it. And I listen, I think it's more fun to watch the women's game than the men's because I feel
Yeah,
like there's more finesse
I
in it,
agree.
in
I mean,
my
I do
opinion.
love watching men's lacrosse.
No, I
And
understand. Yeah.
yeah, we have so many guy friends on like insane teams, so it's fun to like go and watch them. But I just think equal TV time. I don't get why there's not equal TV time. But
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Now, one more question before we end the interview is I guess I usually do shout outs, but since I have two members of your family on, I just sort of wanted to give you guys the opportunity to give your parents or siblings shout outs for what they've done for your career and sort of what they meant to you. So feel free to say as much love as you can for them because I know they mean a lot to you.
yeah, I mean, again, like our parents, my mom grew up in Baltimore, so she knew a little bit about lacrosse, but they really supported us throughout club and throughout high school and especially in college, like Coco, starting like my my brothers watched and like got their friends to watch every single one of Coco's games. Like they would be
Shout out
texting.
Declan.
Yeah, shout out Nate's our brother Nate's friend Declan because he would be texting Nate like what time's Coco's game, you know, all this stuff. And our parents also talk. I mean, all parents talk about their kids in like the best light, but our parents really like people have come up to Coco and I and like they know that I was injured my freshman year and they know that Coco started and they like talk with us about that. And I just think it's so fun. And I'm really excited this year to be able to play because even though our parents have to split time, they're like switching on and off whose games they go to. Um, I'm just like our family, like our brothers and our parents have been, I think, our biggest fans for
Mhm.
sure.
I also think we're really lucky with the type of parents that we have. They're just supportive of us no matter what. They were not like what we like to call a lacrosse parent, which
Yeah.
like a helicopter parent, like crazy, like in our face after a bad game, like getting mad that we made like a few mistakes, like way over like involved in the recruiting process. We had none of that. They just wanted us to be happy and like
Yeah.
healthy and enjoying like what we were doing. And I think it's such a healthy relationship we have with our parents, and we're really lucky to have that. And yeah, shout out mom and dad. Shout out
Yeah.
Snake
Awesome.
And
and Daisy too.
yeah. And I know Coco had a game at Loyola university last year, and didn't like a bunch of McDonogh went.
Yeah, a lot of people, our whole family came, and then like
Yeah.
the team came. It was so cool.
And I had a game at Towson last year, and like my aunts and uncles came, my cousins, and this year we ended up playing at Towson again just because more teams are being added into the CAA. So I'm so excited for that game because
Family group chat went off about
yeah,
that one.
like my mom like sent out that date like months ago. Like Annalie will be playing at Towson April 27th. Everyone be there. Everyone be ready. So we're just really lucky to have that, and I'm excited for my brothers to be able to watch me this year because I know
Mhm.
they watched us in high school and stuff, but it's just really exciting that
Yeah,
they like are such like supporters of what we do.
that's
Mhm.
awesome. Well, I just want to say thank you so much to you both for taking time out of your day and coming on. I really appreciate it. I had a fun time. I hope guys did as well. I think you guys are
Yeah,
great players and people. So, and best of luck for the upcoming season for both of
thank you.
your teams.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you. It was so nice to be on this.
Yeah.